I'm standing here in the back of a church in Cupertino on Stelling Road, right next door to Whole Foods at Stevens Creek Boulevard. There's a swarm of bees in the bush here, and I will zoom in on that. And these bees have left their hive looking for something new. It's a big cluster about the size of a large soccer ball. Or I'm going to suit up and cut the branch and put them in a box, take them home. Hopefully, if they don't all leave. Usually bees in this state are very docile since they don't have any hive to defend. So let me just set up the camera here. I'm going to wear a veil, although many beekeepers would do this without even bothering with the veil. And I'll put some gloves on as well. My plan is to cut the branch off and put it in a box. They're in a tight cluster with the queen in the center, and the scouts are out looking for a new home. I will provide that. So I'm going to cut a little bit around this. Trying not to piss them off. That last cut did some damage. I lost a few bees, fell off the cluster. I would like to get my box underneath. Some very dense shrubbery here, this tree or whatever it is. If I can get my box slid in under there. Already got several hundred bees in the box. I think it's time to go to the saw. Got most of them. Probably the best I can do. The rest are gonna leave. Okay, well, I'm back home in my backyard now, my own bee yard, and I've created an empty hive here. Here's a hive. It's got one deep super, and I put some frames in there, some clean frames. These have a foundation which is plastic honeycomb, and it's already covered with wax. It's sprayed with wax so that it gives them a really fast start on drawing the comb they need. So I've cleaned that out. What I brought home with me was 2 boxes, this huge box that has most of the bees in it, and then I have a little backpack here that I captured a few handfuls of strays. So what I'm going to do is dump them into that hive and seal it up. I've put an entrance cover on the hive so they can't get out for a couple of days. Since their swarm was really a quest for a new home, I think they'll be happy with this. This is the entrance reducer, which is plugged up with some fiberglass screens so that when I put the cover on, nothing can come or go, and they'll just have to make themselves at home. Also, I will put a feeder on the top of the hive with some sugar syrup. Make sure they have plenty to eat while they're settling in. They should like that. Anyway, next step is to dump them in. Okay, I'm going to start with this backpack, which is full of the bees, the secondary bees. I have a cover here, so I'm pretty much just going to dump it in and cover it while I decide what to do. I'll settle them down to the bottom of the box. Open the cover, and I'm simply going to dump. You can see them starting to get out as soon as I open it. But you want to just do a hard dump and cover it quickly. And the vast majority of them are in there. Let them settle down a minute while I figure out what to do with the big box. Okay, since my box is big enough to cover the hive bottom, I think I'm just going to cut a big hole in it and leave it on top. Let the bees migrate on their own. So I've started cutting a hole here. Bees haven't started coming out yet, but they will. So I have a metal plate that I'm using as a shutter. One or 2 bees have found the light. There's a lot of bees in there, and hopefully the queen is in there. Although I can't be certain until everything settles down in a few days, when I'll try to go find her. Alright, so I got a pretty big exit hole here for these guys. Girls, I should say. They're all female. Before I put it in, I'll just give you a peek inside the box. You can see they started making some honeycomb when they were hanging on the tree. There's a lot of bees in there. You probably hear it. Alright, I'm going to go and install it on top of that other hive and then pull the slide out, and they'll be able to drop down in at their leisure. Let me bring the camera over there. And again, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not an experienced beekeeper. I have captured a few swarms before, a couple. This one was easy because it was so close to the ground. Alright, so I'm going to slide that one cover off, replacing it with the entire box, and then open the shutter and rejoin the 2 groups. A few strays will be trapped outside, but they'll either die off or find their way back in once the grand opening ceremony occurs later this week. Probably Sunday. I've got this. What I want to do is slide that off and replace. Meanwhile, knock these guys off. It just fits. I didn't measure that. I was thinking there'd be more overlap, but it reaches exactly from front to back. So now they can't go anywhere but down, I hope. Check for leaks. Yeah, I think I should put a weight on top because this corner is a little loose here. So I'll put some weight on top, which I can do very easily. The spare hive body will work well for that. Now I think I still have a high corner back here, so if I move this over it might help. Don't want the girls coming out. They gotta learn that this is their home. Which they will. They'll start smelling it up with their own pheromones, and this will be home sweet home very shortly. I'm done for now. I may come by tomorrow morning and see if there has been much migration, but I'm not going to open the hive for a couple of days. Let them really get used to their new surroundings. A little more weight on top of here. I don't think they can get out. A couple of dozen are buzzing around, but I don't think there's really much chance of too many more getting out. And they don't want to come out anyway. They're happy to have a new box. Anyway, I'm going to go make some sugar syrup and install a hive top feeder, which would be something they'll be very happy to receive. That's all I have for now. So I decided to use entrance feeders rather than the hive top feeder. And this is like a mason jar full of sugar syrup, which I just made. And it sits in this trough. It has some perforated cover, and the bees can come and eat it as it drips out of the jar. I'm going to use 3 of them. I usually just use 1 per hive, but by putting 3 on, I can cover up the front opening completely, more or less. I like to do it quickly before too many bees come out. So I'm going to get this set up. 3 jars, 3 feeders, feeder bodies, and a little spacer stick that I might need. And when I take this thing out, they'll be able to come and go as they please. You see, they're already trying to do that. So I have to put these other pieces back in rather quickly. Ready. There's going to be some escaping here. There's no way around it. But that's okay. Put 1 in, 2, 3 jars. Not too many came out, so I'm happy. And then I have a little spacer in the corner where there's a little extra space to close up. And I believe I've got that. So now the bees can munch on some nice sugar syrup to get them happy. They will be able to draw honeycomb a lot faster if they get something to eat, because they really didn't have any stores of honey with them when I brought them over here. Just want to check that there's no big leak there. Well, I don't see any bees coming out. If there were any ways for them to get out, they definitely would. As I say, normally the hive, the entrance feeder is just one feeder per hive, but by using 3, I can not only give them more food, but close up the hole very easily. And now I'm just going to ignore them for a couple of days. This is Thursday afternoon, so probably sometime Saturday I will open the front up and let them come and go as they please. By then they should feel quite at home. If they don't, they'll swarm again, but that's unlikely considering their deluxe accommodations at this point.